You're live.
Hello, hello, hello! It's Jamie here at the Outdoor Learning Center. We are going to start talking in just a little bit, and our talk today is all about caring for animals. We're going to get started in just a little bit. But until then, go ahead and take a look at this GIF. It's showing you some zookeepers who are prepping to feed the animals, and we also have some really cool quotes about animal care. So we'll be starting in 1 minute. All right, we're going to get started. We have some new technology. I feel like every week we're trying to get better technology. So we have been messing around with the lights and the sound and the cameras. So excuse me if I keep pointing at people, but we're doing our best here. So hi, Tammy Schrader. I love you. Awesome ESD lady from TED Talks, fame and fortune. Today we're going to talk all about caring for animals. There is a lot that goes into it, and we just want to share all that we do and see how you potentially can get involved with animal care. Remember, if you guys are on right now, I love it if you say hi. It's pretty lonely here in virtual land, so it's nice to have people say hi. You don't have to ask questions, just give us a thumbs up and let us know you're here. If you're watching on the replay, make sure you also say hi. We get all those. And then if you could, ask me anything you want to know. We're available to answer questions. And that goes for the replay too. So let's get started without further ado. So what goes into caring for animals? We have a very refined list here. I want you to understand that this is very small compared to actually what goes on for caring for animals. If you've ever owned a pet, you do have an idea what it takes to take care of an animal, but taking care of exotic animals is extra challenging. There are some basic things that happen here at the Outdoor Learning Center. We make produce once a week for our animals. Iguanas, guinea pigs, tortoises, bearded dragons, they all get vegetables and leafy greens every day. So sometimes we get about fruit, just occasionally, which means we go through a lot of produce. Almost every day, almost every day, all of our hawks and owls don't get produce, but they do get fed. So we're prepping and cutting quail, mice, and rats every single day. After we prep the food, we hand out the diets to everyone. All the animals have a very specific and specialized diet. So during that time, we typically clean the cages, aquariums, terrariums, or mews. And mews is another word for where the birds of prey live. We don't call them cages. It's an older term from falconry. So when you're going through the cages, or aquariums or terrariums, we also check the picking up old food and old pellets, clean up any feces or urine, because yes, everybody poops and pees, so that's a big part of our job, if that sounds exciting. And we also check that all the lights and humidifiers are working, because they all have temperature requirements and moisture in the air. I have a question out here. How do you learn to take care of specific animals? That is an awesome question. So that is huge. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's by trial and error. I've been here for 18 years, and the amount of stuff we have learned over that time is incredible. I have had bad experiences where an animal was not being cared for the correct way, and perhaps it passed away, which can happen sometimes. These things are wild animals, a lot of them. But unfortunately, you learn your lesson sometimes. I've also had amazing volunteers who are research nerds, which we love, research nerds, and they have gone out and found and talked to different vets and zoos. We also have a local vet here, Mount Spokane Veterinary Hospital, that sees all of our animals, and if we need care or advice, they're welcome to call out. So we're always looking for more if you guys know of anything, always looking for ways to take better care. So I hope that answered your question, but thank goodness for the internet, because we have learned a lot. Hello, Bridget, Gavin, Hannah, Rhett, and Lincoln. I'm so glad you guys are here, and thank you for saying hi. Okay, so we're going to go back to daily care. So we've checked the lights and the humidifiers, and they're all working. Then we clean and scrub down any food, water dishes, platforms, which is the kind of the stage they stand on, and any enrichment that needs to be cleaned. And I'm going to talk about enrichment in a little bit. If you need to put in new bedding or substrate, which is the stuff in the bottom of their enclosures, we fix that. We might add new water, give food, and we also take a chance to just look at the animals and make sure they look good and are acting normally. Sometimes in the winter, reptiles are cold-blooded critters, and they are laying very still, and maybe in the morning you poke them a little bit and hope they're still alive. A lot of our reptiles are older too, and they've been here a long time, so we just always make sure they're acting normal. I mentioned the word enrichment earlier, which is a big fancy word. I have some pictures up here if you're better visual, but enrichment is a way to take an animal's personality and behaviors that would happen in the wild, and we try to mimic it here at the Outdoor Learning Center. It gives them a chances to make a choice. So maybe there's food in the corner over here and a different kind of food over here, so they can kind of pick and choose. It makes their brain work. We also just recently did some iguana enclosure enrichment, and our tortoises have some new enrichment. Other enrichments that you guys might do at home and you didn't even know you were enriching would be giving treats or new toys, which my dogs love to get new toys. Maybe you have a new cat tree that your cat can go into. All of that stuff is enrichment. So I will talk more about the iguana enclosure. They've been here for a few years. We built these big, huge rooms that they now are in that hopefully you guys have gotten a chance to see. But now what we've done is we've included more surfaces. They can climb, they can explore, they can hop from platform to platform. It really makes their brain think. And the more you can make an animal's brain think, it stops them from being bored, and it actually improves their health. So think about if you are an elementary student, or even if you're an adults, this is towards you, and you go to school and they have put a new piece of equipment out on the playground. How exciting. All the kids want to go play on that new piece of equipment. Or maybe you've gone to a new city and your family takes you to a new park. It's like being in a brand new thing. Your brain wants to explore. Our animals have that same experience when we put new stuff into their enclosures. So those are things that when you have an animal, even a pet, those are good things to think about how you can help enrich your animal. Something else that many zoos, animal sanctuaries, and centers do is positive reinforcement training with their animals. You guys probably do this a lot, especially if you have a dog. So I don't know, at my house, when we feed our dogs, my son makes all the dogs sit and wait for their food. So he puts the food down and he says wait, and every night it's a different amount of time, but then he says okay, and the dog knows it's time to eat. And that's kind of enrichment and rewarding. So he gives them a command and then he rewards them by eating. It's a good thing for you guys to build a relationship with your animals that way. At the OLC, we've started to do some positive reinforcement training here. One of our really cool examples, I see another question coming in. Oh, hi, Michael and Jenny. Mackenzie and Kesslin, my first graders. I'm so glad you guys are here. Oh, thanks for coming on. Anyway, so here at the Outdoor Learning Center, we have a new bird of prey. She's been here for a couple years, but we've actually volunteers have been working with her on coming to the glove to get her food. So they reinforce her. She knows that if she lands on their glove, they will feed her. There's a lot of other things that we're doing, but having their animals who are trained through enrichment is really good for vet examinations. So if you go to I don't know if you guys ever take your dog to the vet or your cat and they're freaked out and scared to death, that actually can affect their health really negatively. You don't want an animal to be stressed out. So by giving them reinforcement, by telling them, fly to my glove, I will feed you, I can then look at the bird talons and see how the health of the feet are. Normally what we've had to do in the past is we kind of restrain the bird, hold its feet out, which can be pretty traumatizing. So the more you can get an animal wanting to work for you, that helps you in looking at its care. So for example, if you, zoos can work with animals to voluntarily give blood, meaning an animal sees a needle in the past, might be scared and painful, but it will still come over to the trainer and allow the needle to poke them. Our AmeriCorps Lily has even helped do voluntary daily glucose readings with chimps by poking the chimp's finger every morning to draw blood. And I don't know about you guys, but I hate having my blood drawn. So in order for an animal to do that voluntarily is pretty incredible. Do most animals like toys? So here's the thing about toys. Animals, and I think we talked about it last week, I can't remember. When an animal is domesticated, it takes 100 years to domesticate an animal. So dogs, for example, they see that toy that you see, and you might see them wag their tail and they love it. We don't try to put like human-y feelings on animals, okay? So that toy, unfortunately, in a dog's past, probably represents a prey animal that they would have been ripping and tearing for food. But at your house now, they know that they're not going to be eating a prey animal. They're getting a toy. Toys are good, like for horses. They can lick on a salt lick. That's a good toy. So the toys are a little bit different as it goes for animals. But yes, animals do like to have things as change in their environment. Whether or not it's a toy for our reptiles probably is a little bit different. As you probably could tell, caring for animals is a big task, and there is no way that Tiffany and Lily and I could do it on our own. Currently, we have about 27 animals, and that's not including the insects that also need to be cared for. It's a big task. We have lots of volunteers we rely on getting animals fed and enclosures cleaned. Every year, there's a group of middle schoolers from City School. They actually apply for a job called DFW, which stands for Department of Fish and Wildlife. And their job is to come here to the Outdoor Learning Center 5 days a week, and they care for all of the inside animals. Now, you can imagine, with us being not open to the public and City School kids not being here, it has been an incredible lot more amount of work. It's just like insane how much work they do, and we didn't even realize they were doing it because they just do it so easily. These are a couple of our City School volunteers who are still volunteering. They come 1 to 2 days a week. This is actually my daughter over there with Nelson the tortoise, and this is Izzy. So they are volunteering their time now with City School to still come in and take care of the animals. Let's see. Am I good on the slides? I'm trying to remember. We're also lucky enough to have volunteers with some veterinary knowledge. In fact, some retired veterinarians volunteer here. And someone was asking how we learn about caring for the animals. They share, and they are very thirsty for learning new stuff. So we're very lucky to have people that are passionate. We have some volunteers, like Carmen over here with the owl. She does not have a wildlife background. Her background's in art and marketing and graphic design. Yet, if you see her over there, she is trimming a great horned owl's talon. She's been here for a long time. So having this experience and practice and being trained by other volunteers, she now saves a lot of our time. We don't have to stress Alberta out because she can do it right on site. She doesn't have to go into a kennel or go to a vet. She gets to stand outside and get her talons trimmed just like your dog would. So, direct animal care. So usually refers to the actual feeding and cleaning of its enclosure, which is what we've been talking about. There's also indirect animal care, and this is stuff that you guys wouldn't even imagine what happens behind the scenes. So here's an image of Deb, one of our volunteers. She comes in every week, and all she does is prep animal food. So everyone thinks it's really fun to handle the animals and stuff. Well, Deb just wants to help us care for it. So cutting, running the food processor, sometimes she even in the summertime grows vegetables for animals. She goes to Hutton Settlement and works in their greenhouse so that our animals get really healthy, organic food that we don't have to pay for. So thank goodness for Deb, who spends many hours. It ensures that our animals have a healthy, balanced diet. Another part of indirect animal care is ensuring that our animals get enough exercise, which how many of you guys have to take your dog for a walk because you live in a smaller house and maybe you don't have a yard? It's really important that our animals get enriched by taking them on a walk, but it also helps their health because you're exercising them. You guys know how important exercise is. So what our staff and volunteers have to do is get them out of their enclosure and let them run around. So this is Chin Chin, I think, or a guinea pig in a ball. If I were to let a guinea pig or chinchilla run around, they probably would disappear, and that would be terrible. So we put them in an exercise ball, and they run around the center. It's safe for them, it's safe for us, and it gives them really good time to exercise. Recently, our vet told us that our snakes maybe are a little overweight. So if you guys have been following our Facebook stories, you'll see that we've been exercising our snakes, putting them in a box, letting them climb over stuff. And then Nelson and Kiki, our biggest tortoises, they get to roam around the Outdoor Learning Center. And in the summer, they get to actually roam out back. So we do try to incorporate a lot of exercise. So you can tell it takes a lot of time and money that goes into caring for our animals. We are very lucky to get a lot of stuff donated, and we do fundraising, but our budget's about $200 a month on food, bedding, and light bulbs, and that kind of care. It also this amount doesn't include vet visits, toys or treats, or buying new enclosure materials. So we really depend heavily on donations because it is expensive to care for this many animals. And caring for a captive animal is a lifetime commitment. So Nelson could live up to 150 years, and he's only in his 20s right now. So I'm going to have to will him off to somebody. Raise your hand if you want that. We could do it right now. For example, this chart up here shows the average cost of caring for a rabbit for his whole life. It can cost about $19,000. Caring for a cat for their entire life can cost about $30,000, if you can imagine, for a cat. And caring for a dog for its whole life can get up to about $42,000. Most owners think that it will only cost around $1,000 to $6,000 to care for a pet in its lifetime. So when you get an animal, or before you get an animal, you need to be ready to spend the money. You don't want an animal to get hurt or get sick and not be able to afford to take care of it. I know at our house, we try to make sure we always have a little bit of reserves for our animals. Now these animals will live around 15 to 20 years max. Imagine how much money for caring for a tortoise who can live to be over 100 years old. This slide is full of examples of animal care jobs. One of the reasons that we have city school kids come here from DFW is that we want people to be aware of all the possibilities when it comes to career. So these city school kids will get job experience and find out, maybe I don't want to scoop poop for a living, or they might find out, gosh, animals are really very cool. Oh, Mackenzie, you're so awesome. I really like the OLC too. And the OLC loves you, Mackenzie. So I have some lists here of things that you can do. Dog walker. My daughter right now, currently, as a 13-year-old, oh my goodness, she probably like us at 14. A 13-year-old, she walks the dog once a week, makes a little bit of money and helps pay for her horse. You can also work at a shelter. Of all the things that you could do in high school. And straight out of high school, however, there's a lot of these jobs that you need to have at least a bachelor's degree or some kind of certificate. Even an animal groomer has to be certified. So there's lots of lists up here. If you guys are curious about any careers, or you're like, I'm really interested in this career, but I wouldn't even know who to talk to, please reach out to us. We know a lot of people, and if we don't know a person that does it, we can find out for you. So we want to be a resource for you to go find your passion in working with animals. And it's really needed. Animals need care. Something everyone in animal groups agrees is that animal caregivers do not make a lot of money. We do it because we're passionate about the animals. One of the highest paying animal care jobs is to be a veterinarian. A vet can make about $96,000 a year, but it takes a lot of schooling. A lot of the vets that I have worked with in my past had huge loans that they had. So even though their paycheck looked like a lot, it was very expensive for them to go to school. So I know that being a vet sounds awesome. You have to be able to be ready to go into debt and go to school for like 8 years and then have a tough job after that. Working at a zoo or an animal sanctuary, most facilities require for you to have at least a bachelor's degree in science, meaning you go to a 4-year degree, sometimes more for some people, or some kind of related animal field. It's also being recommended that you start getting a master's degree too. So now you've gone to school for 4 years, you get to go to school for maybe 2 to 4 more years. If you don't want to be a vet, but you want to work closely with animals, working as a zookeeper, rehabber, which is a person that fixes the animals in the wild and lets them go, or an animal caregiver might be of interest to you. However, keep in mind that zoo, wildlife rehabbers, and animal sanctuary jobs rarely pay well. How's that for the bad news? But you get to work with animals, so there is not always about money. Occasionally, these jobs are where you can make about $30,000 to $40,000 a year, which to kids might sound like a lot, but most are around $15,000 to $20,000 a year. So you might have to have a side gig to have your passion project. But this is very little, but the animal care community is still extremely competitive. If you want to work with certain animals, such as birds of prey, they can be even more challenging to find jobs. You can ask some of our volunteers. However, it's possible to have a job working with animals as long as you're passionate and really love what you're doing. Guys, remember, if you work at the Outdoor Learning Center as a volunteer, those are all things you can put on your resume. So if you're interested in volunteering, this is really what you want to do, come volunteer. I'll write you a letter of recommendation. It's happened really for a lot of people that have come experience this and found jobs other places. With that, we want to give a huge, giant shout out to all of our volunteers. We have a really cool sign here. I love volunteering at the OLC, and we love all of our volunteers. Like I said, I've been here for a super long time. Back in the olden days, my husband and I were the volunteers, basically. We came in on the weekends, we came in at Christmas time, we did all the animal cleaning and everything. You have no idea how much my life has been made better, and I know the OLC staff feel the same way. Without volunteers, we wouldn't be able to be as healthy and happy. I think our animals, knock on wood, are healthy and happier than they ever have been because of our amazing volunteers. So if you have heard this spiel and are like, gosh, I really want to do something with animals and maybe volunteering at the Outdoor Learning Center, you can always reach out to us. You can email us or
that's the wrong website.
go to our website. Well, it's on our Facebook page. If you guys are watching this, just put a comment and we'll reach out to you. It's pretty easy to contact us, especially if you're listening. You also are many things you can volunteer doing. So we have city school kids that were at our drive-by zoo talking to the community. We have Tita who works with the birds of prey. Once a week she comes in, and if you don't have that much time, you know, come once a month and hold a snake, help us exercise our snakes. So the volunteer opportunities are immense here, and we try to do it socially distanced and safe, so you can know that we take really are very careful with making sure that everyone is safe and happy. So did we have any more questions out there? No? So if you are watching this on the replay, remember, if you make a comment or if you are on YouTube, we can interact with you. So just because you're watching it later doesn't mean I can't say hi to you. I can't say hi to you live, but I can still say hi to you on the chat box. So make sure you say hi. Be looking for our next live next Friday, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know that Stella has put up a turkey craft from last week, and we'll be working on some new stuff. So we miss seeing you guys. Stay safe, and thanks for popping on.